Welcome to the Uncanny Valley podcast. We're the place where we, pull back the curtain on truths that are often hidden, maybe deliberately buried. The kind of unsettling facts and, frankly, cosmic horrors that seem to lurk just beyond what we normally see.
That's right.
And today, oh boy, we are plunging headfirst into something truly extraordinary. We've got this collection of documents, classified archives, referred to internally as Tales from Failed Anatomies. And these aren't presented as fiction, not at all. They're laid out as factual accounts, meticulously put together from decades of clandestine operations. We're talking deep shadows of the 20th and early 21st centuries here.
Yeah, indeed. And what these records show is, well, it's nothing short of a shadow history, a completely different narrative running underneath the surface of what we think we know.
A shadow history, I like that.
Right, where all the human conflicts, the wars, the political struggles we focus on, they were maybe just surface noise. Distractions, almost.
Distractions from something bigger.
From a far more ancient and, frankly, much more terrifying war. So what we'll be doing is tracing the evolution of the secret government program. It was initially formed, it seems, in a pretty desperate attempt to protect us from these hidden truths.
Right. Damage control from the start.
Exactly. And we'll look at the profound and often, devastating impact these encounters had on the actual agents, the people on the ground who had to face whatever these things were.
So prepare yourself, everyone listening. This is going to be an exploration into things that exist just beyond our normal comprehension, things that really threaten to unravel the reality we take for granted.
It's a journey, all right. It's definitely going to challenge everything you thought you knew about our world, about history, about our place in it all.
Okay, so let's dive right in. We have to start at the beginning, right, where these archives really kick off.
Yeah.
We're going back to 1928.
1928.
Yeah, with an incident that just seems to shatter humanity's, fragile sense of being in charge. The federal government raid on Innsmouth, Massachusetts.
Ugh.
Innsmouth, a pivotal moment in these records, absolutely.
I mean, just try and picture it. You've got this sleepy, maybe slightly run-down New England fishing town, and then suddenly it's the absolute focal point of a massive, top-secret military operation.
It wasn't just, a local police matter getting out of hand.
No way. The way these documents describe it, this wasn't just a national security event. It was like a breach in reality itself, a crack in the foundation of what we even thought was possible.
And what's really astonishing here, and what these documents, whether they're declassified or maybe just leaked, who knows what they really underscore, is the sheer scale, the audacity of it all.
How big are we talking?
The sources state quite clearly that the entire town's populace was seized, rounded up, interred in secret locations.
The whole town, every man, woman, child.
Seems like it. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people just vanished, wiped off the map, covered up officially, of course.
Yeah.
Epidemic, contaminated water, something like that.
Look, what wasn't that? Not according to these files. This wasn't a small incident. The reports mention submarine commanders firing torpedoes.
Torpedoes? Into the harbor. At what?
At something down there. The implication is terrifying. What level of threat, what kind of profound horror would make a government erase an entire community and use that kind of force secretly?
It forces a complete rethink, doesn't it? At the highest levels.
Immediately. You can sense the shock in the reports. This event, Innsmouth, it marks the true, albeit completely clandestine, birth of what would eventually become this specialized anti-occult intelligence operation. What we later learn is called Delta Green.
And the horror, it wasn't just the raid itself, was it? Or the brutal logistics of it. It was what it implied.
Exactly. The implications were reality-shattering. The reports, even with heavy redactions, they practically scream certain truths.
Such as?
Well, for starters, man is not the only intelligent resident of this world. Just flat out stated.
Okay, that alone is huge.
Huge, but then it gets weirder, more disturbing.
Wow.
People can breed with inhuman things.
Breed. The interspecies breeding. But what?
The files don't exactly provide pleasant specifics, but the implication is there. And worse, cities of their kind dot the bottom of oceans all over the world.
Underwater cities of these things.
Right. So this wasn't just finding a weird fish. The Navy stumbled onto an ancient enemy, unknown, from the deeps. An enemy that had maybe been coexisting with us, influencing us for potentially millennia.
In the interbreeding?
Yeah.
That makes it so much worse. It means the threat isn't just external.
Precisely. It's a horrifying vulnerability. It completely blurs the lines between us and them in the most visceral, biological way possible. It's not just out there. It could be in here.
Yeah.
In us.
That's That's a fundamental breach.
It forced this immediate recognition of what the files call a category error.
A category error.
Yeah, the fundamental assumption for centuries, right, in philosophy, science, religion, that humanity is the sole intelligent species on Earth, the top of the pyramid.
And Innsmouth just blew that up.
Obliterated it. You can almost read the psychological shock between the lines in these early government memos. It meant every conflict, every historical mystery, every weird, unexplained event, suddenly it all had to be reevaluated.
Through this new, terrifying lens.
Exactly. The deep ocean wasn't just unexplored anymore, it was potentially hostile territory, inhabited by entities whose very existence undermined our identity, our sovereignty. It shifted the whole global threat paradigm secretly, from human enemies to cosmic ones. All happening in the shadows, of course.
And this Innsmouth file, it wasn't just a dry report, was it? It seems like it had this active effect on people who read it.
Oh, absolutely. A profound, almost corrosive impact. Which brings us to this really tragic figure, Albert Syme.
Yeah, okay, who was he?
He was, on the surface, just an unassuming ONI collation officer, Office of Naval Intelligence, basically a file clerk.
But his backstory.
Intrinsically tied to these horrors. He's almost a living testament to the very genetic weirdness the Innsmouth reports were hinting at. He was born with a cleft palate. But the files describe how, over 2 years in his childhood, his face underwent this strange transformation. A slow-healing wound, they call it.
Slow healing.
Yeah, scar tissue filled the gap, and his lip apparently knitted itself together like a zipper closing.
Like a zipper. That's unnerving.
His sister Rosita called it a miracle, but the description in the files, it definitely hints at something almost alien. A biological process that wasn't quite normal. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, about other oddities throughout history.
Yeah, definitely. So his family history connects to this.
Directly. The documents delve into his parentage. A drunk fisherman father, fairly typical for the era and place, perhaps, but his mother, from a place called South Hook, described as having shifted features.
Shifted features, like Innsmouth features.
The implication is strong, and crucially, the files state his mother also birthed something else, right around the time Syme was born.
Something else.
Described as something bulbous, wriggling, and blue-black. It died shortly after.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It directly, horribly links Albert Syme to those inhuman things from Innsmouth. He wasn't just reading about the horror, genetically he was part of it. A living, failed anatomy.
So he was predisposed, in a way, to understand it.
It seems so. His own sense of otherness, perhaps. The files mention he felt guided by an unseen giant throughout his life, a feeling that really intensified around 1925.
What happened then?
It pushed him towards what the report calls full delirium. He apparently wandered the city, literally screaming at the moon, just lost it.
Yeah.
And then, almost immediately after this breakdown, he finds himself compelled, almost instinctually drawn to take a job at the Office of Naval Intelligence.
Like something pulled him there.
Exactly. As if some deeper, maybe pre-human instinct drew him right to the place where these forbidden truths were being archived.
So when he reads the Innsmouth file.
It's not just another report for him, it's a profound personal reckoning. The files say he identified intensely with the holes in the report, the redacted parts, the unspoken implications. He felt they spoke to his own inherent otherness, his own unhuman parts.
Were there specific things that triggered him?
2 photographs mentioned specifically. One, the file says, what might have once been a woman.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It deeply disturbed him. Maybe offered a glimpse into the fate of those who fully succumb to this interbreeding, this transformation. This knowledge didn't just inform him, it awakened something in him. Something ancient, irresistible, a call.
A call to go home.
That's the chilling phrase the report uses, because his reaction wasn't just intellectual horror, it was visceral, primal.
What did he do?
His actions.
Yeah.
They're portrayed as this shift, this instinctive return. The files detail him murdering his colleagues with shocking brutality. Striking a Navy man repeatedly with a heavy 3-hole punch, beating another senseless with the base of a flagpole. It wasn't calculated. It sounds like frenzied, almost inhuman violence. Then he leaves the building, strips naked, described as invigorated, and walks straight into the Atlantic Ocean to swim out.
Albert Syme is going home.
Exactly. His story is this stark, early example of how insidious this influence is. It's not just monsters out there, it's inside.
Yeah.
Genetic, psychological, pulling people towards these ancient alien imperatives. It forces you to question what human even means when faced with that kind of biological pull.
Wow. Okay, so that's the initial shockwaves, the first real casualty in a way.
Uh,
How does this knowledge start to spread within the government?
well, it festers. It clearly circulates within certain very, very restricted circles in naval intelligence. And then fast forward to 1942, height of World War II.
Right, global conflict everywhere.
And Lieutenant Commander Michael Grant receives this file, unusually thick, old, labeled simply Covenant.
Covenant, ominous.
And the report notes it smelled of time and papers rotting like disturbed history. The very first photograph inside is described as deeply disturbing.
What was it?
A human-sized creature, dissected. Initially, Grant mistakes it for a giant frog dissection, but it's clearly not.
So the file laid it all out.
Explicitly. This excavated file, as they called it, revealed the core truth. A race of amphibian humanoids haunted Earth's oceans and had interbred with humanity for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Wow. Just stated like that.
And it confirmed the Navy had known, at some level, since Innsmouth in 28. This secret now lands squarely in Grant's lap.
What does he do? I mean, you can't just sit on that.
No. He recognizes the enormity of it, and he seeks hidden counsel. The files mention him consulting someone called Uncle Tommy.
Uncle Tommy, a code name.
Seems likely. He's later identified as Captain Thomas Powell, codenamed Jupiter 069, a very shadowy, well-connected figure in Washington, D.C. intelligence circles.
And what does Uncle Tommy say?
His advice is cryptic but telling. He just tells Grant to start, implying begin the work, deal with this. And he hints about both sides.
Both sides, meaning?
Meaning there was already a secret group grappling with these truths, operating within the government, maybe sometimes against it. This is our first real hint of Delta Green as an operational entity, beyond just the files, dealing with this stuff, containing it.
So Grant isn't alone, but he's stepping into something huge.
Yeah.
Does it affect him personally, like Seam?
Oh, immediately. The personal toll is profound, unsettling. He's sent as part of his investigation to visit a private Arthur J. McCready.
An Innsmouth veteran.
Yeah, one of the soldiers from the 28 raid. He's been incarcerated in an asylum ever since, diagnosed with shock, which is probably a massive understatement.
And what's McCready like?
Utterly insane, broken. He just gibbers about frogmen, keeps insisting they're spreading, and then he says something truly terrifying to Grant.
What?
He says, it can see us all in our dreams.
It's in our dream.
And his final warning to Grant isn't a plea for help or anything, it's almost a curse. He looks right at Grant and says, because now they know who you are.
Chilling. The idea that just knowing about them makes you visible to them.
It's psychic contagion. A direct link established just through exposure to the knowledge. It's horrifying. How do you fight an enemy like that? One that doesn't just exist physically but infect your mind.
Does it happen to Grant? Does he start dreaming?
He does, almost immediately. The files describe his own experiences, disturbing dreams, dark oceans stirring, seeing gargantuan structures older than Rome beneath the waves.
Wow.
And this one specific, terrifying image. 3 globes, blue-white, in the water. Eyes, the size of city blocks.
Oh my God, just eyes
Yeah.
watching. That's the implication. Despite this terrifying psychological assault, Grant shows incredible, maybe horrifying resilience.
Yeah.
He pushes through. He eventually briefs the president himself on Project Covenant.
Briefs the president on amphibious humanoids and giant underwater eyes.
You have to imagine that conversation. The files describe the scene ending with the president just sitting there silently contemplating if he's going to dream tonight.
Wow. So the knowledge spreads upwards, contagious. Absolutely. It highlights the psychological front of this secret war. The lines between reality and nightmare are blurring irreversibly for anyone who gets too close. It really sets the stage for decades of these secret battles, fought not just with guns, but against sanity itself.
So this knowledge, this horrifying reality, it doesn't stay contained in hushed reports for long, does it? By World War II, things escalate.
Drastically. The fight moves from just discovering these things to, well, direct and brutal confrontation on a global scale woven into the fabric of the war itself.
And this program, Delta Green, gets folded into the OSS.
That's what the sources indicate. Officially, it was part of an OSS psychological warfare unit. The cover story was brilliant, in a way.
Oh, was
Exploiting Nazi beliefs in the supernatural, using their own occult obsessions against them. A perfect screen.
but the real purpose.
Far more dire. It was secretly to fight the terrifying realities the Nazis had stumbled upon, or maybe even deliberately summoned in their quest for power.
So while the world fought Nazis, Delta Green was fighting something else the Nazis had found.
Or unleashed. It's chilling, isn't it? To think that the human conflict might have been manipulated or at least overshadowed by this deeper ancient war. These entities using our conflicts for their own ends.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thought. So how did Delta Green engage?
Well, the mission focus shifted pretty quickly from just containment to direct military action. We see this with Major Stillman, later Colonel Stillman.
Government. Okay.
He's operating with full Delta Green clearance. He leads a commando team deep into occupied France in 1944. Their target, a Nazi Karatechia facility in Fécamp.
Karatechia, what was that?
Not just research. These were the true believers within the Nazi occult apparatus, fanatics, trying to weaponize cosmic forces, blood rituals, weird technology, horrific experiments, the worst of the worst.
And Stillman knew what he was walking into.
Oh, absolutely. The files quote his briefing to his men, no mincing words. He just says, it's all real, don't fuck up.
Wow.
Can you imagine the weight of that? Telling your soldiers, forget everything you know about warfare. This is different. This is real. The sheer dread in that moment must have been immense.
So what happened to Fécamp? What'd they find?
It unfolds like a total nightmare in the reports. They infiltrate the facility. It's eerily deserted, empty.
A trap.
Maybe, but the details are chilling. They find clothes laid out in parade formation, like the people just evaporated. And on a console, a light, Gerard active, device active.
Device active? What device?
Above it, illuminated words, Gefangenzone. Danger zone, with a flickering light. The air itself is described as thick with dread, unnatural.
And the device?
It's something called an Eisenbein resonator, or sometimes Donnerschlag, thunderclap. The Nazis were using it, apparently, to call things from outside, from other dimensions, maybe.
They were deliberately summoning things.
Seems so. The device generated this overwhelming humming, like an immense engine, but it didn't just make noise. It affected the air, the sky, the team's senses. Distorted reality itself.
And Stillman's team.
The report is brutal, just as they were gone, taken by whatever the Donnerschlag called forth. Stillman survives, alone, a solitary witness to his entire team being erased by something incomprehensible.
My God. How does someone even process that?
Through brutal resilience, it seems. He manages to capture one of the key Karateki operatives, a Sturmscharführer Schonberg. And he tortures him.
He gets information.
He does. Schonberg, along with another captured scientist, Dr. Wykes, reveals the details of something called Actiongötterdämmerung, Twilight of the Gods.
Sounds ominous. A final weapon.
Not exactly. Much more insidious. It wasn't a military plan. It was a long-term subversion strategy.
Oh.
Karatechia personnel, the occultists, were ordered to surrender to the Allies, intentionally get captured, infiltrate POW camps.
Why? To escape?
No, to spread their influence from within. The plan was to distribute what the files call faux bibles, fake holy books maybe, containing occult knowledge, symbols, rituals, designed to subtly corrupt Allied soldiers, influence post-war society from the inside out.
Psychological warfare on a cosmic scale.
Exactly. Turning beliefs into weapons, using the very structure of the POW system as a vector for this alien influence.
And Stillman. How does this affect him?
He's already hardened. The files mention a scar that narrowly missed his eye, suggesting previous close calls. This experience brutalizes him further, but he adapts. He becomes ruthlessly pragmatic.
What does he do with Schonberg?
He kills him later. The report implies it wasn't out of vengeance, but cold necessity. Understanding that this enemy and its human agents don't play by any rules, it raises that chilling question again, doesn't it?
About becoming a monster to fight monsters.
Yeah. For Delta Green agents, it seems like that line just gets erased almost immediately. It's the cost of doing business in this shadow war.
So the war ends, but the threat doesn't. We move into the Cold War.
Right. And the nature of the horror seems to shift again, but it's still there. In 1955, we meet Dr. David Denori.
A scientist.
Yeah, a brilliant PhD in life sciences. He gets abruptly recruited, or maybe coerced by government agents, implied to be the successors to that original Delta Green structure.
And his mission.
To examine something called the Red Man sample. And this story, it's not just about experiments gone wrong. It's about a living, growing, speaking entity, a truly grotesque, failed anatomy that forces a whole new understanding of the enemy.
What was the sample initially?
Described simply as a portion of human tissue, weighing only 3 ounces, kept in a sterile lab environment.
But it didn't stay that way.
Not at all. The reports describe it rapidly growing, not just getting bigger, but more complex, morphing, becoming maybe 20 pounds of it.
Yeah.
violently breaking out of its plexiglass containment.
20 pounds of tissue.
Not just tissue, it's described as parts of a person grown crazily, thrown together, somehow alive, with disturbing details like baby teeth appearing in it. And a mouth.
A mouth, it could speak.
It spoke, in a language Donari, luckily or unluckily, recognized. Georgian.
Georgian. Why Georgian?
That's a fascinating detail, isn't it? It uttered just one word, Damak Marut.
Help me. Help me from this thing.
Chilling. The Georgian connection is really intriguing. Does it hint at a specific origin? Ancient hidden networks? Maybe even different factions of these entities? We don't know, but it's specific.
So you've got this growing, speaking biological horror. What's the government's reaction? Besides bringing Denori in.
Ruthless control. Manipulation. We meet Agent Carver, a shadowy operative who takes charge of Denori.
How does he control him?
Leverages Denori's past. Turns out Denori attended some communist meetings years ago back in Paris and Montreal. Probably youthful idealism, right? But in 1955, that's leverage.
Blackmail, basically.
Absolutely. Carver lays it out cold. What you are is whatever I want you to be. It's not just a threat. It's a statement of absolute power. Zero ethical boundaries. Total paranoia applied to cosmic horror.
Makes you wonder how many others were convinced like that.
You have to assume many. Their skills needed, their pasts weaponized against them by the very people supposedly protecting the world.
So what happens with the red man sample? Does it keep growing?
Oh, yeah. It continues its grotesque transformation. Becomes, according to the report, a pink spider with 10-foot limbs.
A giant pink spider made of human parts.
Apparently. Screaming like a wind tunnel shot through a human vocal tract, and it escapes its containment box. A biological nightmare unleashed.
Does Denari get away?
Here's another twist. Yes, he does, but he's helped by a ragged man who appears seemingly out of nowhere.
Helped by who?
This ragged man also speaks Georgian, says things like, I will not hurt you, and asks Denari, are you Georgian? He helps Denari escape the facility.
So at another Georgian connection, who is this guy? Human, something else.
The files don't say. It suggests a much more complex game being played, maybe rival entities. Or entities with inscrutable motives offering perverse assistance. The lines blew even further. Ally, enemy, human, alien. Who knows?
And there's a connection to Stalin.
The escape is explicitly intercut in the file with news reports of Stalin's death. Is it coincidence? Or a hint that these biological horrors, these entities, are somehow tied to major geopolitical events? Maybe our grand human dramas are just, ripples from their conflicts.
That's a deeply unsettling thought, that history isn't driven by us.
Yeah. And as we move into the 60s and 70s, the focus in these files often shifts more towards the human cost, the sheer psychological burden on the agents themselves. It becomes painfully clear.
Right, like with Henry Briggs in 1964.
Exactly. Briggs, he's a veteran member of the group, which is clearly Delta Green, and his job title, or nickname, it's Puncher.
Puncher? What does that mean?
It's a chillingly cold euphemism. His job is to punch their ticket, to kill things that don't die on their own.
Things that don't die. So not just humans.
Definitely not just humans. Maybe former humans, maybe things that were never human. He's lost count of his kills, and he's developed this strange, almost clinical detachment to cope.
How does he justify it?
He sees it, or tells himself he sees it, as just how systems renewed themselves. A necessary impersonal pruning. But you can tell it's taking a toll. He's not just fighting monsters, he's absorbing the horror. The lines are blurring for him, internally.
How did he even get into this line of work? It's not exactly something you apply for.
No. The files trace it back to Harvard, surprisingly.
Harvard?
Yeah. His friend there, Peter Martin. Peter came from a wealthy family, and his father, Edgar Martin, knew about Peter's illness.
Illness? What kind of illness?
Yeah.
Connected to all this?
Seems so. It was Peter Martin who introduced Briggs to a commander cook, and more importantly, to a fat folder full of horrors, his entry point into the secret world. It shows how this stuff isn't just confined to the fringes, it touches the elite too. Privilege granting access to forbidden, devastating knowledge.
The Peter Martin's illness. What happened to him?
Briggs eventually had to deal with him, kill him.
Briggs killed his own friend.
The description is brutal. Peter bounces on the ground with each hit, convulsing. His body covered in black and red viscera and blood, his blue eyes tinged with yellow. It confirms Peter was changed, transformed. Another failed anatomy that, in Delta Green's grim calculus, needed its ticket punched. A mercy killing, maybe, in their view.
God. The psychological toll of that alone.
Immense. The files give us a glimpse inside Briggs's head years later. He's at a reunion, surrounded by normal life, normal people, and he's contemplating suicide.
No.
He imagines his smile widening and the horrors within him let loose on the world, a terrifying image of the monster he feels he's becoming inside.
Does he find any peace?
Only in a very dark way. He finds a strange comfort in the idea of finality, the end. The ending of a human life, his human life, finally free from the cosmic horrors, free from the burden of what he knows and what he's done. It's a tragic state, where oblivion seems like the only true escape.
So Delta Green, the group, it operates completely outside normal rules.
Entirely. Its own brutal morality, its own legal vacuum. And the members, they find this perverse sense of belonging, maybe. A dark fraternity bound by shared trauma. Briggs's journey from naive student to cold killer shows the brutalization required. His thoughts on finality reveal the deep existential dread. They aren't just soldiers, they're witnesses to reality unraveling, forced to become something else, to protect a world that has no idea their humanity is the price of admission.
That's incredibly bleak, and it seems like trauma just layers on trauma for these agents, like with Arvin Tipler in 1970, coming out of Vietnam.
Exactly. Vietnam itself was horrific, obviously, but for Tipler, it merges with this deeper cosmic despair. He describes the war not just politically, but existentially, rotting in a sweltering heat with no direction, an emptiness of consumption.
He saw the war differently.
He saw the jungle as a maw of green, and the war itself just a backdrop to something more fundamental, man versus nature, or time versus order. The existential dread of Delta Green latched onto his war trauma and amplified it into this overwhelming madness.
How does this manifest after the war? He's at the Pentagon, right?
Yeah. And the files show how this breakdown takes over his life. He becomes obsessed with a calendar. Just a normal desk calendar.
Obsessed how?
Meticulously marking days with red and black X's. Good days, bad days. Trying to find a pattern, impose order, it becomes his perfect obsession, consuming him. A physical symbol of his crumbling reality.
Does it affect his family?
Chillingly, yes. He starts to see his own wife, Gail, his daughter, Mindy, as empty, like puppets. He even contemplates a horrific act to free them.
Free them from what?
From a worse fate he imagines is coming. It shows how deep the paranoia runs, twisting love into something monstrous, a desire to spare them by ending them.
Where does this come from? Was there a specific mission that broke him?
The files detail one particularly traumatic mission in Cambodia during the war. His team, including agents named Poe and Lepus, encountered a Colonel Wade.
What was wrong with Wade?
His body was being piloted by something black and shitness sticking out of his mouth.
Oh, God. Like a parasite.
Or a puppeteer. A grotesque internal possession. Tipler himself saw something else there, too. A spiraling alien tentacle topped by an eye, rising out of an ancient temple ruin just before B-52s bombed it into oblivion. A desperate attempt to erase the impossible.
And that's when he was recruited.
Right after, Poe delivers the grim welcome, "Welcome to Delta Green." But there was more horror on that mission. Something Tipler tries to suppress.
Wow.
Lepus, another team member, raped a child during the chaos, an atrocity committed under the cover of this secret war, highlighting the moral compromises, the darkness these agents swim in.
Does Tipler act on his thoughts about his family?
He tries. He attempts to kill his daughter, but he fails. A flicker of his humanity, his love for her, stops him at the last moment.
But he doesn't stop there.
No. He succeeds in detonating a bomb at the Pentagon. The files note grimly, the bomb went off at the Pentagon on schedule, destroying years of work. Records, maybe. Research. A desperate act to wipe the slate clean, stop the cycle.
And then, what does Tipler do?
His final act is horrifying. He goes into a church, reloads a shotgun, and just began firing, laughing, reloading. He fired and fired and fired. A complete psychotic break, seemingly.
But he says something.
He declares with this awful conviction that he had finally come home.
Come home. To violence.
It's portrayed as this desperate search for meaning or control in a world that makes no sense anymore. The rampage isn't just madness. It's a violent assertion of agency against a chaos he feels powerless against. A final destructive act of will. Coming home to violence. It's a deeply tragic statement about where this path leads. Sanity seems like a luxury Delta Green agents just can't afford.
It's just one devastating story after another. What about Agent Alvin Bright in 1977? He seemed to think he could handle it differently.
Yeah, Bright's story is, well, it's another kind of horror. He's an IRS agent moonlighting for the group, and he has this professional pride, this belief in detachment.
How so?
He thinks he can just correlate contents, write his reports, and retreat. Find the truth without becoming a victim himself. He believes he can observe the abyss without it observing him back.
That's not how it works, is it?
Not in these files. His story becomes this visceral cautionary tale. He thought he could remain separate, but he becomes the ultimate failed anatomy, not physically transformed, but mentally consumed. His very consciousness becomes the victim.
How does it happen? What case was he on?
He's auditing the Van Dusen shipping company. Seems mundane, right? Financial investigation. It leads him to Eloise Van Dusen, an old woman living in the company house.
And she's not what she seems.
Not at all. Before his horrified eyes, she transforms rapidly into a snuffling monstrosity. The description is grotesque. Talons, wet fur, bone spurs, skin like a rhinoceros. Her true, non-human form revealed in an instant.
What happens to Bright?
She throws him into a pit beneath the house, an oubliette of cement, the file calls it, filled with stagnant water, rust, debris. Trapped. No escape. Just primal, suffocating terror, designed for slow torment.
Is he alone down there?
Not entirely. An old man starts speaking to him from beyond a locked door in the pit.
Who is this old man?
Not a man, exactly. The entity identifies itself, or is identified later, as the consumed composite mind of a Dr. Albrecht, who died back in 1927, 50 years earlier.
Consumed mind. What does that mean?
The entity explains its nature. They are immortal beings of a sort. They feed on the human dead, but not physically. They absorb minds, memories, knowledge, gaining a limited immortality through this psychic vampirism.
Limited immortality.
A parasitic survival, a grotesque composite intelligence built from stolen lives, stolen thoughts, living on borrowed time.
Does Bright find anything else down there?
He finds a small, almost hidden door in his cell wall. He manages to open it.
Yeah.
Hundreds of human bones spill out. A charnel house. Stark, undeniable proof of the fate of previous victims. Confirmation of the entity's long-hidden history of feeding.
This concept of mental consumption. It's deeply unsettling.
It really is. It's not about transcendence. It's assimilation. Erasure of the individual, but preservation of their knowledge, their experiences to fuel this parasite.
What happens to Bright?
He's starving. Hallucinating. Towards the end, he sees his own reflection in the water, sees a skull with a scrub beard, grim foreshadowing.
And the entity.
The old man voice, this composite mind, has been learning from Bright, observing his thoughts, his memories as he weakens. It remarks with chilling detachment, 300 years was a long time to practice such things.
Practice consuming minds.
Exactly. It highlights the enemy isn't just about destruction, it's about this subtle, insidious assimilation, a way to perpetuate themselves within human society, maybe even leading to a hidden takeover. Bright's mind is then consumed. His knowledge, everything he was, added to the entity's collection. A final, horrifying contribution to the enemy's endless hunger. His belief in detachment utterly shattered.
Okay, this next part, it feels like it shifts gears dramatically. We're moving beyond physical monsters almost, right, into manipulating reality itself.
Yeah, this section is truly mind-bending. In 1984, we get a glimpse into the Soviet side of this secret war. We meet Arkady, an agent of GRU SV-8.
The Soviet equivalent of Delta Green?
Exactly. Equally secret, equally enmeshed in this hidden conflict. And he's working with something called the Mironov device.
What is that?
Physically, it's described as just a gray cube located in the Black Museum, a shadowy Soviet repository, a place apparently once visited by Stalin himself, known for housing oddities and artifacts from elsewhere.
So Arkady isn't fighting monsters in the usual sense?
Not directly. He's using this device to see and maybe even manipulate entire realities. It fundamentally changes the game.
How does the device work?
The files say it allows users to imagine math, to create hyper-realistic simulations of whole worlds, whole timelines. Arkady apparently spends epochs inside it.
Epochs, like subjective time.
Seems so. Creating universes, observing alien life cycles develop over millennia, fast-forwarding human history, watching it play out like a film.
That kind of perspective,
Yeah.
What does it do to a person?
It leads to this profound cosmic detachment. From inside the simulation, Arkady sees human existence as small, so dirty, local, and fleeting. He gets bored by it. It's not just cold observation. It's like humanity itself becomes insignificant from that vantage point.
Can he see the future?
Our future. He simulates possibilities, some mundane, some startlingly specific. America elects a woman president. An Indian man steps on the moon. Prophetic glimpses. But the real threat the device represents is far bigger.
What's the threat?
Arkady is trying to run out the clock on our specific reality simulation. Why? To prevent a new, possibly reckless user named Lvov from getting access and potentially overwriting it or spoiling it, as the file says.
Overwriting reality,
Right.
like deleting our timeline.
That's the terrifying implication. Arkady takes on this impossible burden, being omnipotent and incompetent at the same time. A cosmic janitor trying to preserve one fragile timeline out of infinite possibilities. The idea that our whole existence, everything we know, could just be a simulation that someone else could corrupt or delete, it just undermines everything, doesn't it? Free will, significance, gone.
Absolutely terrifying. What future does Arkady see for humanity in these simulations? Is it good?
Grim, utterly grim. He sees a heating planet, a sun growing bloated and fat, populations descending into orgies of death with exotic weapons, humanity itself evolving or devolving into squat gray things with large luminous eyes and no hair.
Like future humans. Or something else.
Unclear, but these beings end up worshipping beings of power from otherwheres, other whens, cosmic entities breaking through, and the ultimate end.
What is it?
Mountains that walked and stumble, scraping the world clean, absolute extinction. It suggests the biggest threats aren't things we can fight, but fundamental shifts in the fabric of existence, maybe triggered by artifacts like the Mironov device, rendering all our struggles meaningless. It really forces you to question the nature of your own reality. Are you just living in someone else's sandbox?
Wow. Okay, let's try to ground ourselves again, slightly. 1997. We meet another agent, this time from MAJESTIC.
Right. A retired MAJESTIC agent. MAJESTIC being the U.S. program focused specifically on UFOs and alien contact, seemingly running parallel to, or sometimes overlapping with, Delta Green.
And this agent is retired but not free.
Not at all. He's blessed, or maybe cursed, with a perfect eidetic memory, and he's living under constant, suffocating surveillance. He knows he's being watched.
How does he cope?
He hides his true thoughts, his final message, in a crossword puzzle book. A complex cipher. He calls it his final statement to humanity, believing he's found his one chance of earthly escape.
Escape from what? Surveillance? Or something more?
That's the question, isn't it? What is escape when reality itself feels like a trap? He confirms MAJESTIC studied the Bucket, an alien spacecraft. From Zeta Reticuli 3, the files explicitly state.
The Roswell craft. Or another one.
The files imply Roswell but focus on the study. And he drops a bombshell. He says the aliens made a deal in 1980, a deal that signed away everything.
Signed away humanity's future. A betrayal.
That's the chilling implication. A covert capitulation by our own leaders. The psychological toll of knowing this, working with the alien tech, was immense. He describes how the mathematics involved stretched our minds taut, leading to colleagues hearing a chorus of voices urging violence. Many left, broke down, emotional strain.
Did people die working on it?
Yes. He mentions Dr. Stephen Cordes, a brilliant colleague, killed instantly, squashed like a bug by a sigil geometry that manifested from the alien craft itself. An impossible non-physical death.
And the narrator, the agent telling the story.
He was assigned to study Cordes's equations alongside another scientist, Dr. Antonio Malbeum, and he confesses he killed Malbeum.
Why?
Because Malbeum had also arrived at the incredible revelations hidden in Cordes's work. The narrator says chillingly, "It wasn't me, and that's why I'm still alive."
Meaning?
Implying it was a necessary, almost programmed action, part of their briefing, monitor each other, and eliminate anyone who got too close to the truth, or perhaps succumb to its mind-shattering nature. A brutal survival mechanism built into the program.
After decades of this.
Yeah.
What's his escape plan?
He has this profound epiphany. After years wrestling with the alien math, the paradoxes, the answer, he realizes, wasn't to solve the puzzle, it was to put the puzzle down, to see beyond it, beyond the fake room and the distracting puzzle and the false door.
Meaning, see reality for what it is.
A construct, perhaps. He plans to move on tonight, to meet Cordes again somehow. It hints at an escape not just from surveillance, but from perceived reality itself. A final gamble for freedom, or maybe a surrender to a deeper truth beyond human understanding. His story just highlights how alien knowledge can become a weapon against the mind. That deal in 1980 hangs there, a deeply unsettling possibility. What was traded away?
Yeah, that's a question that lingers, and the human cost just keeps mounting. We see that clearly in 1999 with Jude and his mentor.
Oh, that scene is heartbreaking and morally agonizing. Jude visits his old mentor, known only as Boss.
And Boss isn't doing well.
He's completely broken, committed to an institution, hearing voices, suffering the absolute final stages of psychological disintegration from decades of this work.
What does he tell Jude?
He lays bare the grim truth of Delta Green's status by then. No mandate from the government, completely illegal, just a ragtag group of less than 100 fighting an utterly impossible losing battle. The organization is a ghost, its agents shattered remnants.
So the sacrifices were almost For nothing.
That's the devastating implication. And Boss himself, he embodies the ultimate cost. He once taught Jude the core Delta Green creed: never look back. But now, he's succumbed, drowning in the horrors, the voices.
Is he physically okay?
No, he's self-mutilating. The files mention specific vertical cuts on his arms, a physical manifestation of the internal torment. Try and let the pressure out, maybe?
And there's a connection to recent events.
Yes, a recent manifestation, some creature that dragged them off into the woods and stripped them of their meat, is directly linked to a strange symbol on Boss's hand.
He's marked, or he caused it.
He confesses. Amidst the madness, a moment of horrifying clarity. I did it, he tells Jude. It's me. It points to that deeper, insidious connection. The agent becoming a vector for the very horror they fight. Internal corruption made manifest.
What does Boss want Jude to do?
He begs Jude to kill him, a final act of mercy. To prevent himself from causing more horror, he invokes their shared past, their bond. You owe me, Jude.
Does Jude do it?
Yes, but first, he lies to Boss. In an act of profound, heartbreaking compassion.
What does he lie about?
Boss feels utterly alone, so Jude tells him, it was all of us. Every one of us, implying the burden, the corruption is shared by all agents, giving him some comfort, some shred of solidarity in his final moments, even though the files state they are the only two left of their kind, the last remnants.
And then he kills him.
Then he carries out the mercy killing, an act that must have just shattered Jude's own soul, that lie. It's a poignant example of the desperate psychological measures these agents take just to keep going, even as they perform unspeakable acts. It encapsulates the moral compromises, the idea that protecting humanity costs the protectors their own humanity. What's left of Jude after that?
It feels like we're reaching the end game now. Moving into the 21st century, things seem to unravel even faster. 2015, we meet Amanda, an agent in deep trouble.
Yeah, the final act feels desperate. Amanda is caught in a witch hunt after a major leak exposes operations, maybe Delta Green itself. She's on the run, hunted, and she's forced into extreme measures herself.
How extreme?
The files state she ruthlessly eliminates a target named Detlev and his entire family, including a teenage daughter, then burns their house down.
Kills a whole family. Why?
To protect herself, protect the operation, erase connections. It shows the absolute moral abyss these agents fall into. Even the innocent become collateral damage in this shadow war. Her desperation is palpable, a raw fight for survival.
Is she acting alone?
No, she's being manipulated. The files mention her negotiating with a British digital voice, an AI, a handler. This voice holds her daughter, Christy, hostage.
Her own daughter.
Yeah, forcing Amanda to remove the targets on the list, using her love for her child as a weapon. It highlights the cruel, utterly merciless tactics employed by whoever is pulling the strings now. The emotional and ethical vice she's in is just staggering.
Did she get caught?
Yes, by a tactical group. And she's brought before Senator McCall, an ex-Army figure. And here's the twist.
Yeah.
McCall, the files reveal, was involved in the shutdown of Delta Green back in 1971.
So he tried to end it, and now he's back.
Exactly. He aims to get this under wraps. It shows the endless cycle. Delta Green gets suppressed, dismantled, but the threats persist, inevitably forcing its reemergence in some new form. McCall represents that institutional memory the cold pragmatist who knows these horrors require an ongoing, ethically compromised response.
What does McCall want from Amanda?
He offers her a razor blade, a stark, soul-crushing choice. Cooperate fully, betray everything perhaps, tell him everything she knows, or take her own life. Right there.
Yeah, and her daughter.
He promises Christy's safety either way, a final, manipulative guarantee. Amanda is left pondering what kind of twisted weapon had she become as she reaches for the razor.
Does the file say what you chose?
It ends there. Her choice encapsulates that ultimate dilemma: how much humanity do you sacrifice to protect humanity? What's left of you? Is victory even possible when the price is your own soul? The line between monster and hunter completely gone.
And that leads us to the very end. David Bell, an old man in a care home in some unspecified future 20XX.
Yeah, Bell's story feels like the culmination, the final witness. The world is clearly collapsing around him, but he's still somehow active in the mission, still carries a shotgun. His mind frail, maybe, but still sharp on this one topic. He remembers everything.
He remembers the beginning.
He vividly recalls killing an old man in the Kush region, Afghanistan maybe, 51 years prior, and this old man gave him a prophecy.
A prophecy about the end.
About the exact sequence of U.S. presidents leading up to the end. The files mention specific descriptors: Torek for a black man, then white, then Spaniard, then a white woman. The reference to Obama confirms the timeline, grounding this cosmic horror right in our recent past. Bell has lived long enough to see the prophecy fulfilled.
And the world is ending.
Seems like it. Angel, an orderly in the care home who seems to be another agent, maybe Bell's final handler or comrade, describes the global catastrophe unfolding. New York's got the National Guard called in. Baltimore is burning. Something big went off in Chicago. The Air Force is flying sorties over the Midwest trying to shoot something down. It's not just riots, it's breakdown. Something is happening everywhere.
What does Bell think it is?
He refers back to the old man's prophecy, his metaphor. We are bugs on a twig at the top of a freshly kindled fire. He seems resigned, almost accepting. He believes he's been touched by these forces, that nothing can kill him before the final act plays out.
Does he still want to fight?
He understands the struggle. He says, we may have to do it all again, embracing that endless cyclical nature of this war. But his final moment suggests something else.
What happened?
He has a vision. Looks out, maybe through a window, maybe in his mind's eye. He sees something huge and shadowed out of all scale, hovering over the half-ruined towers of New York City. The ultimate manifestation. The end game made visible.
Yeah, and his reaction? Fight. Despair.
Neither. He drops his shotgun. No need for it now. And he says simply, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Why, thank you.
It's chilling, isn't it? It implies this profound, terrifying acceptance, maybe even relief. The final revelation of the cosmic truth. The end of the human charade, the struggle. A final surrender to a reality far bigger, far more indifferent than we could ever comprehend. His final words force us to ask, what would we feel? Despair, or like Bell, this terrifying gratitude for clarity. The end of the fight. Hashtag tag out Trago.
Wow, okay. We really covered some ground there. Decades of humanity's secret hidden war. From Innsmouth in 1928, shattering reality, through the brutal, soul-crushing experiences of agents like Stillman, Briggs, Tipler, Amanda, right up to David Bell witnessing the final curtain fall in a world consumed by these cosmic horrors.
Yeah. We've seen the incredible psychological cost, haven't we? The moral compromises that seem almost inevitable, the terrifying revelations these people faced, all while living in the shadow of a reality just so much vaster, more ancient, and terrifyingly indifferent than we typically allow ourselves to imagine.
And these documents, these tales from failed anatomies, they keep circling back to that core question, don't they? Comprehension. Can we even grasp what's really going on? What is absolute?
Exactly. And there's this final, incredibly unsettling piece in the afterword to these documents, attributed to Robin D. Laws. It's framed as the alien thoughts that continued to course through Ted Gallatin's brain subsequent to his clinical death.
Alien thoughts. From whose perspective?
From the perspective of the entities themselves, these ineffable we, as they call themselves. And they're pondering us. They question if Ted Gallatin, or maybe he represents all of humanity, holds the secret to the unraveling of the unraveling, the undoing of the doing.
They're looking for an escape, an undoing.
It seems so. They describe themselves as trapped by constant existence, their own immense, timeless agonies pale before ours, they say. They're searching endlessly, desperately for release from their own infinite being.
Where do they search for the secret?
Everywhere. The text mentions searching in a dead child, in dying species across galaxies, in countless individuals like Gallatin. But they always fail.
Why do they fail?
Because, as they chillingly realize, the radiation wave, it was us, our searching. We possess that awareness. This is an error we repeat, which is what occurs when all time is coterminous. Their very act of searching, their awareness might be part of the trap, part of the inescapable cyclical loop that binds even them. Cosmic futility on an unimaginable scale.
So even the gods, or whatever they are trapped.
That's the final provocative thought this leaves us with, isn't it? What if the ultimate horror isn't just that these ancient, powerful entities exist, but the chilling realization that even they might be caught in their own endless, agonizing loop, desperately searching for an undoing.
An undoing that might lie.
Paradoxically, perhaps, in the very all-too-human solipsism they dismiss. Could our fleeting nature, our seeming insignificance, our capacity to feel, to care, and crucially, our ability to end, could that hold the secret? The key to liberation from constant, inescapable being that even these cosmic horrors yearn for.
Our mortality is the key to cosmic freedom.
Yeah.
That's a truly unsettling thought to leave you all with.
Indeed it is. Ponder that as you look up at the stars tonight.
This has been the Uncanny Valley Podcast.